Huge bench. That was 725. What an absolutely insane freaking bench. Holy crap. Now that was a pause.
Tell us about your training and your eating.
Okay, I train like 5 days a week and I try to eat as much as possible.
5 days a week, eat a lot, take a lot of protein in, get your sleep, get your recovery. When you're worried about these foo-foo isometrics, when you're worried about these things that you can't measure, when you're influenced by these fitness cults and you're not lifting big time weight, you're missing this. You're missing the confidence. You're missing that feeling of becoming someone that you now have a structure. You go to the gym, you hold yourself accountable. The harder you work in the gym, the better the results are going to be. And that's a great lesson that you can take with you for the rest of your life. We're going to analyze the craziest bench technique that can get you stupid strong. And we're going to start right now. We're going to go into the bench technique and the life of one of the best powerlifters of all time, an all-time classic, an all-time great, someone that I was exposed to at an early age from a man named Gene Richlack, who's the first guy to bench press, I believe it was 900 pounds and 1,000 pounds. Gene used to come to our high school. Again, it's a big privilege that I was able to be around a strongman or a powerlifter like Gene. And he would talk about this dude who would bench with a reverse grip. And so back in the day, back in the early 90s, there was a guy that would walk around and he would bench press 800 plus pounds, the first man to ever bench press 800 plus pounds with a reverse grip. And his name was Anthony Clark. So Anthony Clark was 5'8", 330 pounds, a dude from the Philippines that ended up just being an absolute savage. He was known for pushing a 5,000 pound elephant in a wheelbarrow in some type of circus act in Japan. Whether or not that actually happened, who knows? But what else he did is he deadlifted over 750 pounds. He could squat over 1,000 pounds and he bench pressed over 800 pounds. At one time, he had the world record for a total. He's also just known as this all-time great person. So what I wanted to do is we're going to go into him as a power lifter and what he would do in training. We're going to go into some of the mystique and the reasons around him using the reverse grip bench. We're going to break down whether there's a mechanical advantage or what that reverse grip bench trains. Okay. And then we're going to start to look at some different things around what we can learn from his style of training. Okay. If you watch our Husker Power video, there's some things that we're missing currently in training that the Husker guys at Nebraska used to do, okay, that we could bring back. And that's something that I want to dig into with this Anthony Clark little symposium, is figure out what was Anthony doing that maybe we could bring back and start to train with a little bit more. And then whether or not I would recommend this or where I would put this into all-time training. And then there's some real cool motivational stuff that we're going to get into. And so I just wanted to go over that. Some of the real quick stuff on the backstory of Anthony is that I remember Gene talking about him reverse grip benching and he would get these lifts turned down. Sometimes they would retroactively get turned down. He at the time believed that he was doing them legally based off the rules. I remember reading articles in Powerlifting USA talking about him. So I would have been around middle school around this time. And I remember thinking this dude is the absolute man. And Gene was talking about like he was chasing all of the Anthony Clark records. So for me to have that like 1 degree of separation was really, really freaking cool. And the other big factor that I remember Gene even talking about was that Anthony benched 700 plus pounds with a normal grip. Okay, so this is a dude that really had things dialed in, really had things figured out. So we're going to go into a lot of different aspects, but most importantly, as we go through this, we're even going to break down what you guys can do with this training and how it can help you. So here he is. I think this is probably around 1,000 pound squat. Let's see what this is like. Oh, reflex. Nice solid depth there, I would argue. Easy. Oh, reflex stuff. That dude, a lot of the gym equipment we have is reflex. So there was a powerlifting gym nearby that shut down way back. I went to an auction and purchased a whole bunch of stuff of reflex, and they really were like a big time, good quality equipment stuff that you could get. Oh, look at this dude, classic. That dude with the. Okay, so here we got 1,000 pounds, 1,015. Walk out. You got the walk out. how are the judges even judging that? But I love that. Okay, so now he's getting the belt on. He's getting ready. And so this dude is built to squat, built to press, really. You know, you look at somebody who's 5'8", 330, eating tons and tons and tons of food. I think that's, you know, I'm not saying that we want to have this type of physique. This dude's body is an absolute classic, like 70s big. I think, you know, some of the crazy stuff around it. Anthony also was open about his steroid usage. I think he claimed by the time he was 25 that he had stopped. So even that, I would say, was a very slight pause. Huge bench. That was 725. What an absolutely insane freaking bench. Okay, so now he's hitting this dead. This guy's taking a picture with that old Polaroid. Okay. I think you said that was a pole. Yep. 2,460 pounds. Absolutely fantastic. So that's your first exposure, or if, you know, maybe you've seen Anthony in the past, but that's the first big thing. And I remember our high school strength coach saying, like, hey, if you get into the reverse grip bench, it's going to be less stress on your shoulders. That was, from my understanding, that was why Anthony Clark did it. Whether or not that is actually why he did it, I'm not really sure. And what I wanted to do was go into some of the different aspects. There's actually a research paper, you know, an original paper from Greg Lehman where he talks about the influence of grip width and forearm pronation or supination on upper body myoelectric activity. So basically seeing, like, what type of activity are you getting out of the muscles? And we'll go into that real quickly here. And so they're basically looking at the sternoclavicular and clavicular portions of the pec major. And so if we think about that, you know, you're looking at, this would be the area where you're going to see more of the clavicular head up top. So the upper portion of your pec. Okay. And then the sternal head is like the meat of everything, right? And so if you're looking at this, based off of this paper, they're looking at 12 healthy men, and they wanted to do isometric holds of 5 different bench press grips with grip width, and then narrow, mid, wide, and then the level of supination or pronation based off of all these. And so what they looked at then was a supinated grip resulted in increased activity for the biceps brachii, which is an interesting aspect there. So forcing you to have a little bit more stability around your elbow joint, I would assume, and then the clavicular portion of the pec major. Okay, so if we go back, the clavicular head is going to be that upper head up top, right? So you're going to get a little bit more activity. And if I remember correctly, I think it ends up being like 30% more of activity of that upper pec. If the grip was supinated, moving to a narrower grip position, this did not result in a decrease in muscle activity of the sternoclavicular portion of the pec major. The increase in the tricep brachii from a more narrow grip was not influenced by a level of supination. So basically, if you go more narrow, you will get more triceps stimulation. Anthony would be a bit wider on that. So I wanted to show you just a real quick breakdown from 2005 looking at this, and you could see where this is coming up. And then now we can start to see that is what he was doing. Upper pec, upper chest, big triceps. Now we're going to look at one of his workouts. Okay, and we're going to go through this workout. If nothing else, if you take nothing else from today's workout or from today's video, try a reverse grip bench, okay, and make sure you get it set really well with a good spotter. Some people will complain about the placement on their palm when you guys first do it, so just try to get comfortable with it. Do it for a week or two. It will take a little bit of time, okay, until you figure that out. But I remember the first time doing it and feeling like just this weird failure on my triceps. Like all of a sudden my triceps would just die. And when we would flip back to a more traditional bench press grip, I would always feel like my triceps were just insanely strong transitioning back over. So the other big takeaway, try the reverse grip. The other big takeaway is recognize the amount of protein that he was consuming, right? And I'm not saying that you should be having 15,000 calories of protein drinks a day, but if you just have about 1 gram per pound of body weight, I'm sure that's a great place to start. Then you can lower or increase based off of your own needs. Okay, so he's got like a lower incline there. He's got a 405 traditional grip. Looks like he's just trying to work through hit controlled positions. And I wonder if this is before he really went and flipped to his reverse grip press. This looks like it might be, yeah, this is what, 495. So he's just trying to hit huge loads here on the... Dude, a 495 incline bench is insane for a triple.
Incline press. And as you saw, I went up pretty high in the reps. The reason why I do the incline press is because it helps create explosion off my chest. It builds stability in the muscles. And I think you have to have stability in all the muscles: incline, decline, upper pec, and lower pec. And the sets that I do, I only do 3 to 4 sets. And I go up like in succession of 135, 90-pound jump up to maybe 500 for about 3 to 4 reps, heavy reps. And it helps me to have that stability in there. And that's the reason why I do it.
So he's saying basically, okay, so he was training there with the traditional, with his, at that point, he did have a reverse grip press. Basically big, heavy triples. Build up as heavy as you can and hit it from a flat, an incline, and a decline. Pretty sensible. Just do that over and over again for a couple of years.
Okay, we just got off the reverse grip bench press. This is the big talk. Everybody asks me, why do I do the reverse grip? Why don't I do regular grip? And I guess because the reverse grip has helped me. You know, I've done this reverse grip press because of the barbarians. Matter of fact, you know, they said they can do so much weight, so I want to try to get better to them. And I didn't know how that I was going to get there, but I worked hard at this lift, and all of a sudden I was doing 600 pounds. We're at the cable pulls right now for chest. The reason why I like this is because...
Dang, so they sort of popped off of where he was talking about why he did it, but the interesting part, just trying to be better than some opponents, wanting to build up, pushing this. And this is an interesting thing. I see this a lot even with weightlifting and in sports performance, is like you're doing a variation of something and you get so good at it that it ends up being, this is actually something we use with Jake Horse, who was a snatcher, a national champ in the US. He got so good at doing no feet snatch that we just started to do no feet snatches as his main lift. And that's the thing, is like, it's sort of sensible. You get to a point where you're so good at it, you're like, wow, I'm 600 freaking pounds on this. What if I do this all the time? And it creates a really interesting dilemma where you're like, I might just do this normally.
Stretch and get the blood flowing. It's really like sort of like a down set for me, and that's the reason why I'm doing them. So I do this once a week. You know, today is Friday, and I do my light work today. So as you saw in previous shots, that was my light day. So, and I do Monday, I go heavy, which I start off with a reverse grip bench, and I end off with cables. So I only do this once a week. Cables for the stretch.
So looks like he's taking some bodybuilding stuff. So today was his light day with the reverse grip. Goes heavy on the incline, lighter with the reverse grip. Just said he's doing more bodybuilding.
Small muscles as well as big muscles around you. That's my theory.
So his thesis is essentially put heavy load.
Matter of fact, it really helps you doing light weights.
On the muscle.
Those small muscles, which are the stabilizer muscles in your big.
And then try to really target.
You want to do between 3 sets of 12 in this exercise. Not real heavyweight.
Keep the load a little bit lighter. Just dial in on what he was referring to as the stabilizer muscles and just build up with a pretty good pump.
Pulls again, my second set.
Yeah, so to me, that's a pretty normal, even today, what I would argue is if, like, this is where a lot of guys, you want to increase your bench. Some of the things that you can do the quickest, if you're not, like, this is a dude benching 800 pounds, and he's still doing bodybuilding methods.
Reverse grip.
He stole the bench press, but you know what I stole?
Hi, I'm Anthony Clark. As you can see, I'm a big fan of Body Life sportswear. It's big, it's comfortable, lasts forever, and it's made in the USA. I wear it for working out, I wear it to lounge around. I wore it to hang around my favorite restaurants. But best of all, it looks great. And after setting world records, I'm the best dressed lifter. Give us a call at...
Yo, this is freaking awesome. So this dude was filming and doing plugs back in the 90s. Like, what we're seeing literally, like, Anthony Clark was one of the earliest influencers, I would argue, along with, honestly, Boyd Epley and Louis Simmons, really, if you really think about it. Okay, so now we're going to get into a bench press seminar. So he talked about using the reverse grip. Essentially, I had originally been under the assumption that it was because of a shoulder issue, and that was my takeaway, right? He switched because he was doing that as an accessory, as a side lift to sort of push his bench press. That's why I want you guys to try it. Okay, so the big takeaway right off the bat, try that. Make sure you get comfortable. Go heavy, build up slowly, but then also, you heard him say that, do a lot of bodybuilding work.
So, and anything, the name of this game is that every time I do a set, hopefully there's some questions, because the more questions you ask, the more rest I get, okay? This is 135 here. I don't know.
It's crazy too. It's like he just takes that off. He's got 135 pounds on his thumb when he's taking that off. Wearing jeans. It's like he's going to work.
Okay. Good 225 next. Or you put the 100 on there. 245. Any questions? A lot of chicken, fish, pasta, protein, carbs. Try to make sure I eat good food, performance foods, basically. What is your conventional? My best one is 705. My conventional bench press is 705. I haven't done conventional in 8 years. You know, I do it during, I go up to 600 that way, you know, during the off season, and then I change over.
So that's where he's talking about traditional bench is 705. He'd go up to 600 in the off season. He hadn't done it in 8 years, and then he flips over. Also, lots of chicken and rice and fish. Okay, so we're seeing that. And I would even argue there's some stuff that we could talk through.
Go 325, 335. Another 45. Okay, how much do I weigh? Probably about 330 right now.
About how many calories a day?
I take it in about 10,000 calories a day.
Okay, so he just said he takes in about 10,000 calories a day. He weighs 330. Now, powerlifter, the sole purpose is to lift as much weight as possible in one place. You're not moving your feet. You're not doing anything else. He's a super heavyweight. So when you think through, I have to be as big, as strong as humanly possible. That includes the joints, the tendons, right? Everything, the ligaments, making sure you're structurally stable. So it makes sense that you want to get pretty morbidly obese. Now, the difference here that we got to think through is that if we're training for another sport and we got somebody whose bench just sucks, you shouldn't be consuming 10,000 calories a day. Like, I think that's even higher than what Michael Phelps was eating back in the day. I would recommend you need, let's say you try to put mass on, go in a 500 to a 700 caloric surplus, something along those lines.
The question is, do I curl? Yes, I sure do. I don't curl a lot of weight because I do a thing called picking up cars, right? And when you're picking up cars, you're not supposed to have really strong biceps. And not mean strong, but really big biceps. Because whenever you're picking up a car, it goes straight. And so I've learned not to curl so much now because I tore a bicep. And picking up cars can't be hazardous to your health.
So he's talking about essentially being like doing the circus stuff, doing the...
It's the lift off. So once you get it over here, it's pretty much, okay, I'm gonna get it pretty much. Bad myself, might as well say forget it.
Basically doing like those circus act tricks, almost like picking up cars, stuff like that, so he wouldn't train biceps as much. This is 330. So this dude doesn't even he does like one rep.
Okay, well, let's try a single. Maybe the next one's good though.
So this is 445. A little off on that lift off. Definitely off on that right side. A little off on the lift off there.
I train 4 days a week. 2 days on, 1 day off.
Okay, so he's saying, essentially here he's saying he's training 4 days a week. That's something that we can help you guys with. We have a strength training app known as Peak Strength. It's our own strength training system. It's the first link in the description. It's the pinned comment. If you guys are someone like Anthony Clark was back in the day, you're just getting into training, you want to become an athletic freak, you want to get stronger, you want to increase your overall fitness, click that link, head over to peakstrength.app, the Google Play Store or the Apple iOS Store. Download Peak Strength. Select what you want to train for, what sport, what muscle group. Try to focus on what your goals are. Write them down, go into Peak Strength, and commit to a full year of training. For a full year, you can sign up for 38% off. Head over to peakstrength.app, the Google Play Store, or the Apple iOS Store. Let's get back to Anthony Clark's reverse grip bench.
Year round. There's no...
Year round. That's the whole thing here, guys. You got to think, what's the time horizon? What's the period? 8+ years he hadn't done even just traditional bench. You got to commit long-term to those goals. Okay, we'll watch one more here, 535. And then we're going to get into his world record bench at 750. And I want to talk through some of his goal-setting stuff as well. Dude's an animal. Absolute animal. Absolute animal. Okay, this is his first or his heaviest bench in the history, 750. Sitting on the bench, music's blaring. I think the other thing is I want to do this a little before we watch this. Anthony Clark wanted to be the best ever, right? So he looked for things that he was doing or that he was doing in training that he could adapt with just a slight tweak. Okay, reverse grip bench. This reminds me of Ryan Krauser. Ryan Krauser is the greatest shot putter of all time. He's switched his technique just by like little small details here and there to try and figure out how can I get a little better, a little better, a little better. And all while saying, I got to get as strong as possible. I got to get as fast as possible. And that's the thing here with Anthony. He's getting insanely strong and he's just slightly tweaking his technique, right? He's getting insanely strong. He's still doing the bodybuilding stuff. And that's the wild part that we've got to think through is like, if you want to get stronger and faster, there's some point to doing bodybuilding exercises. And just keep that stuff in mind as you watch this 750-pound bench press, 340 kilos. Holy crap. Now that was a pause. That was a crazy pause. That dude's got a sick camcorder. That was a sick freaking pause. Also, whoever was filming, why did you cut to this woman? Why do you care about her? Look at that pause. Boom. What a freaking machine, dude. And that's where it's like, this is some really fun stuff to watch. Okay, now let's look at this interview.
We have a lot of questions we'd like to ask you.
Okay.
What's the best bench you've ever done?
I've done 725 regular grip bench in the gym, and that's about as officially. I've done 664, and I just set a new world record in the reverse grip of 701.
Do you think you can get to 750?
Oh yeah, just a little bit of time and a little bit of hard work. I'm pretty sure I'll get, because I want to be the first man to bench press 800 pounds. So I think I can with a little bit of hard work.
Right there. What's your step one, right? Another takeaway here, guys. Remember, we talked about this in the beginning. We were going to look through his technique. Why was he doing it? Okay, what does it mean? What that reverse grip, you have that pec, you got weak triceps, that'll help. The reverse grip will help. Then what's the next thing we talk about? All right, let's look at his training that you guys can take away. Go heavy, do some bodybuilding stuff after. Another aspect, set some big time goals. Hold yourself accountable. Some time. I need time. I just need time and hard work. I have this goal. I want to be the first person to bench press 800 pounds. It just takes time, patience, hard work. Nothing's going to be easy.
What's your other lifts? What do you think of your best other lift is?
My best lift is a squat too. I've done 1,025, and then I'm getting ready to try to break another world record, hopefully a world record total in November. So everything's going good, and I think maybe I can be the first man to do 1,100 pounds officially.
So you have such phenomenal numbers. How'd you get started in this?
Well, how I got started in this, believe it or not, I was a skinny little kid that got beat up all the time, and then
That's like a classic.
school, I had to face a dilemma of getting beat up at home, so I was physically abused. And so those things.
That's pretty normal too for the background of people dealing with stress.
Around, I carried myself a little bit better, but still at home, I had to conquer those things at home. But
That's terrible. That's probably why Anthony was such a great guy. Like, he overcame some serious stuff there. This is something that he's talking about a lot of parents don't recognize, is that, one, he overcame an abusive relationship with his parents, but one of the things he talked about, how he carried himself changed, how his confidence grew. We got people, that might come, they'll bring their kid into the gym and they say, well, it's been 2 months. Johnny's been coming in for 2 months and nothing's changed. Listen, bring your kid to train for a year, 2 years, 3 years. Get your kids in the gym 2, 3, 4 years. Let them grow. Let them feel the confidence that you can get from lifting big time heavy weight. When you're worried about these foo-foo isometrics, when you're worried about these things that you can't measure, when you're influenced by these fitness cults and you're not lifting big time weight, you're missing this. You're missing the confidence. You're missing that feeling of becoming someone that you now have a structure. You go to the gym, you hold yourself accountable. The harder you work in the gym, the better the results are going to be. And that's a great lesson that you can take with you for the rest of your life.
I still weightlifted, but that was just to try to fill some kind of void, a personal void. But I had something else that was happening in my life.
So how did powerlifting or weight training sort of help you pull yourself together?
Well, it pulled myself together by setting some stability in my life. A lot of people have the ability, but no stability. So, and that's what the basis was for my powerlifting, and that's how I got there. And by, putting God in my life and my powerlifting, and, God's gave me a gift, and so that's the way it happened. Now, powerlifting is like a motor vehicle to show people what, how powerlifting can enhance your life and to better it.
How do you support these incredible lifts? Tell us about your training and your eating.
Okay, I train like 5 days a week, and I try to eat as much as possible.
5 days a week, 4 days a week, eat a lot, take a lot of protein in, get your sleep, get your recovery, do your bodybuilding, do your sport specific work.
Is there anything special that you eat or that you don't eat?
No, okay, a long time ago, I used to thought more is better, and doesn't matter what it is better, but now I try to eat quality food as well as quantity. A lot of proteins.
Anthony Clark was Mitchell Hooper before Mitchell Hooper. Got to eat quality food. Avoid that trans fat.
Powerlifting, either from a beginner standpoint or someone who's been doing it for a while, what would you tell them to do?
Okay, first of all, take it slow. Create a base, because
take it slow, build the base, but commit long term.
I relax by going to, helping kids out and talking to kids and being around good people. That's my relaxation.
Oh, yeah.
And going to church. I have fun. Being around good people.
Be around good people. Okay, let's look at one more lift here. I want to check out his first 800-pound bench press at the Arnold Classic, March 1997. 800 pounds. This will finish it off, and you got to look at this. 1, 2, little sticking point.
We see the lights again, judges. The lift is good.
Looks like there was some. Okay, so. I have never even seen that 800-pound bench, but if you look at that, there was some. I think he did get that lift taken back, mainly because I think there was some miscontrol on that left arm. But I think the big aspect here is Anthony Clark is still rolling today. Like, this dude passed away, you know, rest in peace, Anthony Clark. But some of the big lessons is, what can you do? You can inspire other people to become better versions of themselves through your work. Okay, through your training, through your ability to just tweak things and adapt things, and then be kind, be nice to people. I think that's freaking awesome. And then what are the other things? You know, build confidence. You know, the weight room, the work ethic, 4 to 5 days a week of training, looking at that long time horizon, setting big time goals. That's something that's very simple, that if you're a young kid watching, set some goals. Set goals that are a month from now. Set goals that are 3 months from now. Goals that are 6 months from now. Use those goals to inspire you to try to work harder. And then when you achieve them, you're going to feel great. That's what Anthony Clark was talking about. That's what Anthony Clark is about. And on top of that, it's just about him lifting weights and freaking having fun and being around good people. These are all absolutely fantastic takeaways. If you guys need help with your training, click that first link down below in the description or the pinned comment. Head over to peakstrength.app, the Google Play Store or the Apple iOS Store. Get inside Peak Strength today. If you like this content, make sure that you like and you subscribe, ring that notification bell, or watch this video right here, because remember, freaks, if you want to become a champion, you've always got to cultivate your power. Peace.